welcome to this episode of Conversation with a Chef. I'm Jo Rittey, and I love sharing with you the conversations I get to have with talented and passionate chefs. It's the backstory, if you will, to the food they're putting up. I begin today by acknowledging the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, traditional custodians of the lands and airwaves of Nam, where this conversation takes place. Land which was never ceded. Land where communities came together to eat seasonally, locally, and without exhausting resources. I pay my respects to their elders past and present, and to any First Nations people listening today. Today I'm talking to Sam Hopkinson at Botanical Hotel in South Yarra. Botanical Hotel is a Melbourne institution, and it's been around for a long time. In fact, the recent Melbourne Food and Wine Festival lineup featured a 20 years apart event that saw ex-Botanical Hotel head chef Paul Wilson team up with current executive chef Sam Hopkinson in a delicious then and now dinner. Botanical Hotel has been a Domain Road stalwart, and I have to say over lockdown the gardens in that area was in my 5k radius for bike rides and walks, and I certainly had a cocktail and takeaways and sat out on the grass and along with everyone else tried for some semblance of normality and joy. Recently the Botanical has had a slight upwards shift. They're aging meat in exquisite cabinets, and guided by owner Rabi Yani and Sam, the offer is impressive. I certainly felt like royalty when, having chatted to Sam, I was seated in the restaurant and looked after impeccably. There's some incredible seafood on the menu, and of course the aged meat. But I went for the duck on Sam's recommendation, and I could not have been happier. Hi, how are you?
Good. Sorry to keep you waiting.
It's all right. Nice to meet you.
How's it all going?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Excellent.
How are you going?
Good.
Yeah.
Good to have the Melbourne Food and Wine Festival event out of the way and on to the next thing.
And how was it?
It was fantastic. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
It was just like a lot of work and so many things, so many bits and pieces. And,
yeah. So what did you do for that?
So we hosted an event for 80 guests here last night, and we did it with Paul Wilson, who was obviously here 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And he did 2 dishes and 2 dessert canapes, and we did 2 dishes and 2 dessert canapes. So it was like a bit of a then and now kind of thing, which was great.
That's nice, yeah.
I haven't worked with him before, but like years ago when I was at Rockpool, I was given a copy of the book from Botanical with his signature in it. So it's always sort of been part of, my food, I suppose, identity in a way.
Yeah.
So it was good to meet him and work with him and everything, yeah.
What a nice way of doing it. I've spoken to Paul Wilson before as well. There was sort of all that group that came over. It was great.
The English chefs that thought that they were going to change the world when they came in,
Yeah.
So they thought they were going to reinvent the wheel, and it's like, actually, we're pretty good at what we do.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're pretty good at
That's
what
right.
we do. Yeah.
I know, isn't that funny? But they certainly played their role though, and they were in lots of those really big venues around Melbourne at the time. So yeah.
And they definitely broke some ground in multiple areas. Like they created iconic dishes, they developed great teams, built good kitchens, and most of them are still around. And the ones that haven't made any money and have made businesses go bust are not really here anymore.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So that was good.
Great. It's good. And last night, so you must be exhausted.
Oh, yeah. I've got today off, which is great. But
yeah. Well, thanks for coming in on your day off.
No, don't be ridiculous. Always going to.
Yeah.
I'm normally here today.
Yeah.
And it was just how it all felt.
Yeah.
When we book these things in, and you kind of go, yeah, that sounds about right. It doesn't matter. It's all good.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Now, I had a little look at your LinkedIn, I guess, and what I can find about you online. But so you're originally from Melbourne?
Yeah. Born and bred, grew up in the southeastern suburbs, went to school out in Montana, and I've moved over to Sunshine now, so we've moved out west. It's my wife's family, or some of them live out there, and we just sort of like it.
Yeah.
It also keeps like a good amount of distance.
Yeah, that's right, not running into people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I teach, and I don't live in the same area that I teach, which is a good idea.
Smart, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I saw that, so when did it all start for you as a chef?
I remember driving home from school one day. I think I was about 14 years old, and I'd just done work experience at a little cafe at the Glen called Bonbons. It was in David Jones, I don't know if you know that area. And I was sitting in the car, and I remember looking out the window, staring at Wesley College with my parent, and I said, I really want to be a chef. And Mum's like, you sure you want to do that? The hours are terrible, the pay's terrible. I'm like, yeah.
What do you think? What was it, do you think?
I just loved being in a kitchen and cooking and working with all that equipment and the people, and that's what sort of really drew me to it, I suppose. Like, I've never really considered myself to be overly creative, but I've always liked being, part of this machine, if you will.
Yeah.
I've always been a good worker bee.
Yes.
And that's sort of what drew me to it, I suppose. And then you learn things and you meet people, and it's a very interesting industry in the sense that you can kind of go anywhere in the world with it, and it's very inclusive. And if you can cook, people will give you a job anyway.
Yeah.
So that's sort of what really drew me to it. And my grandparents, well, my grandmother on my dad's side specifically was a fantastic cook. So from a younger age, we did a lot of cooking, and then there was a bit of sort of nurturing up until that point.
Yeah.
And then I remember I got my first part-time job at Bonbons as sort of like a little, I used to do Thursday nights and things, and cut calamari and slice all the tomatoes. Yeah, but it was good learning for me.
Yeah, wow.
Kept me out of trouble.
Yeah. And so from there, how do you take that? Did you go to William Angliss, or did you...
So I actually applied for a job as an apprentice at Rockpool, and I think this was in about 2007. And I remember turning up to the interview in my full chef's whites, like a la school kind of thing, with my little neckerchief and everything, and having this interview with Khan Dennis, little me here, right? And I was very keen. Yeah. So I started working.
You embroidered your name on or anything?
No, definitely not. I had the full kit of all the same knives, all wrapped up. Oh, it was so cute. It's so cute. That's very cute.
Very passionate.
Yeah. I was very passionate, and I still am to this day.
Yeah.
And I spent a good 3 years with them, and then I learned a lot. I probably sort of I got my first mentor. I had somebody mentoring me there who used to run the fish program at Rockpool. I had a massive fascination with processes and being able to break down beef and fish and things like that. And he was a sushi chef, and he really took me under his wing and inspired a lot of passion to continue. I don't want to say following that journey, but I went and worked in Japan about 8 or 9 years later, and that was sort of part of that.
Yeah, I saw that, and I feel like that's really interesting, because when I've spoken to sushi chefs, the training that goes into for them is just it is
militant.
It is militant, and that would take you a long way. So that was part of your decision to go to Japan?
Yeah, definitely. I'd always had a real affinity. Like, I don't have the palate for that cuisine. I can't create dishes without sort of bastardizing the cuisine, so I try to avoid working with a lot of Japanese ingredients or flavors unless I'm very confident in what I'm going to do, because it can come off as sort of a bit, fusion-y. I don't like it. It's almost insulting in a way, I suppose, to a cuisine when people bastardize it. So I went over there and I worked at Narisawa, which is a 2 Michelin star. At the time it was number 4 in Asia, I think. And that was an experience.
Yeah,
that was an experience. That was run like a military operation.
Okay.
You get in there in the morning and you get one cloth, and you do all these things, and you pick all these herbs and cut the duck and blah blah blah. But it was good. It was a good experience.
And how did you get on in terms of the language?
I did 2 years of language classes prior to that.
Wow.
Yeah, but it was only one night a week, so my comprehension, I feel like I can understand better than I can speak. I can't quite have a conversation, but in that kitchen they did speak quite a bit of English.
Yeah.
And they really love they want to learn English as well, so they would really try and work with me, which was great actually. Helps with the sort of, I suppose the cultural gap, if you will.
And I imagine, in my head, I'm imagining that Japanese kitchens are really quiet.
Oh yeah, it was quiet and small, but everything was like sort of perfect.
Yes.
Like, it was very well planned. Everything was always scrubbed back to stainless steel every night. All the glass was polished every day. They had like these ridiculous sort of routines that they'd go through to sort of ensure that it was just obsessively perfect, I suppose. And I learned a lot in that regard.
What kind of food was it?
He classifies it as Satoyama cuisine, which it's sort of a bit of a play on Japanese, a lot of traditional Japanese flavours and produce with a lot of French technique behind it. It's pretty difficult to sort of really quantify. We used to do this dish that was like a mackerel, and we'd smoke it over a very specific type of wood that was native to one part of Gifu, and it was served with a tomato and wasabi jelly, and it was just like very Japanese in its flavours, but very, I don't know, it wasn't particularly, now that I think about it, it wasn't particularly French, but yeah, his cuisine was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And was that a conscious decision to go to that particular restaurant, or?
Yeah, I've always had this, I suppose when you look back at Rockpool, I wanted to try and go somewhere good, try and go as high and as hard as I can, and if it doesn't work out, then, you know, sort of go back down from there, because for me, like, pedigree and learning from the best is the best way to become better. So that was sort of the decision behind going to Narisawa, and I'd seen a lot of his food on YouTube and TV shows and things like that, so I really wanted to go and experience that and experience what it was like to be working in a Japanese kitchen as well.
Yeah, wow.
So it was,
And how long were you there?
A year, a bit more than a year, I think. I can't remember overly well. But
In what position did you have?
I started off as a stagiaire, and then I was a commis chef, so
Yeah, okay.
little kid again.
Yeah.
Running around after them and doing all the little crappy jobs, but it's fine by me. I learned a lot, and they had some great chefs, and not all of them were happy about sharing their secrets. And
Really?
Yeah, quite
right.
a guarded team.
Okay.
But I still learned a lot.
Yeah. And what about life in Japan? Did you
Had a little.
get to see much of life?
Yeah, look, where we lived in a very sort of, because there are different pockets that have different sort of cultures in them in Japan. So you go to certain places and you'll see, you know, lots of restaurants that might be Indian or Chinese or, you know, Ghanese or something like that. And we lived in a very Japanesey sort of area, and it was on the train line that went up to Hakone, which is sort of southwest of Tokyo, and you know, we had this little house, and it was all very Japanese, and your employer pays for your transport to and from work, so you get on the train, you go to work, and you know, you just sort of go about life, and it's all very small and compact and convenient and logical. But we used to get away. We'd go up to Hakone, and they have this beautiful, they're very famous for their onsen, and they do this. There's an active volcano in the area, which is why they're famous for it. And they used to do this like black eggs. They'd put them in the water on top of the volcano, and the sulphur in the water would turn them black.
Yeah.
So we used to go up there quite a bit, and you know, just explore the area. And it's beautiful getting out of Tokyo. But at the same time, you know, we did a lot of different things in Tokyo as well. We eat at different restaurants and go to different areas. But most of my life was really consumed with work. There wasn't a lot of time off. There wasn't a lot of downtime. So you just sort of spend days going to and from work. You almost learn to sleep standing up on the train, which is fun.
Well, it's part of the culture too, isn't it?
That's right. And I loved it. I loved it. I'd move back there, I think. But,
oh, wow.
Well, I would like to move back there if I didn't have children, because I don't have a hell of a lot of faith in their school system. My wife's a teacher, so she saw a lot of what that school system was like. So, anyway.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, right. And so then, how did you know when you'd done your time there that it was time to come back?
When my wife started to say that she was missing the cat too much.
Oh, yeah. It's a clear.
Yeah, so we sort of had a bit of a game plan about we were going to work up until this point, and then we went to Europe for 6 months after that and just travelled about.
Amazing.
Put all of our stuff in boxes in a shipping container and sent them home.
Yeah. And so the Europe travels, was that
purely recreational.
recreational?
Yeah, there was no.
But eating though?
Yeah, I did a lot of eating, of course. Did a lot of eating. I was very lucky. Some of the people one of the guys I worked with in Tokyo was from a tiny little town in northern Italy, and he was going back at the same time that we were, so we met up with him and he took us around northern Italy and, you know, to Milan and Bergamo and all these other places, and his dad made this magnificent, they call it speedo, but they're all hunters, so there's all these like little birds sort of on the spit with big chunks of pork, and then they pour butter and sage over it, and they just roast it on this rotisserie for hours. It's so good.
It's the best when you're with the locals, isn't it?
It is, because the one thing that I didn't like about Rome is it felt very touristy for me, and I probably just didn't get a good experience if I wasn't with the right people, or, you know, I don't know. But when you're with the locals and they take you around and show you all the cool places. We used to do that when some friends would visit to go to Japan, and that was great. We take them to all the good spots so they don't waste their time.
Yeah, I lived for a year in the south of France, and I felt really lucky to when I met people there, and they'd invite me for dinner, and it was just
take them around.
So good.
It is so good because you can share that experience of you going to all these different places and narrowing down the best one, and you go, this is great.
Yeah,
it's good.
And they're so regional. I guess in Italy as well as and in France, they in seasonal, like super seasonal. I just we say that here, but really
strawberries are on the truck from Queensland as we speak.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so you've worked your way up to executive chef. So what's happened in the intervening years?
Between when I first started Botanical Hotel and then sort of now?
I don't know. Well, even when you came back from Japan.
When I came back from Japan, I actually just worked at a good mate of mine owns owned a cafe in Bayside, and I just went and poached eggs with them for 6 months and had some fun. And I was sort of looking for another challenge, and one of my best mates, Joseph, who used to be a sommelier with Rabbi at the Point years ago, after Rab purchased the Botanical, he was sort of like, come on board, we're looking for a head chef. And we sort of had this idea that we were going to rule together hand in glove. And we did for a long time, pretty much up until COVID, which was fantastic. I mean, COVID was terrible, but we made the best of it here. Joseph had to go back to New Zealand during that time, but I stayed on, and we've grown so much in that time alone. I mean, we worked with Shane Delia on Providore. We developed our range of heat and serve meals, which is now known as South Yarra Deli. We're in about 500 retail outlets nationwide, and that was all born out of COVID. It was just sort of after that we came back and did what we do best, serve the community and just keep growing and
So is that what executive chef means as well? Do you oversee the deli as well?
Yeah. So
this is a big place.
Yeah, this is a big place. We don't produce all of those meals here, but I'm in charge of all of the new product development and all of the testing and things like that, and recipe development, and working with the teams that do produce that food to make sure that it is of a standard. It's the same goes for here. I'm here to oversee and make sure that everything that gets to the guest is as it should be every time.
I was impressed, it's 7 days a week, so I was impressed all day and night. That's a really big production. And you're doing some really special things like aging meat, and you've got the grill and stuff. So are you still on the pans? Do you cook?
Look, do you know what? One of my favourite parts of my job is being able to cook on the line with the guys, because I don't think I could ever be a clipboard computer kind of chef. I love that sort of energy, that that urgency, the hustle, being in there, making food for people. That's what I first started out to do, and I don't think I could ever give that up. But I don't do it all the time. But I'd like to do a bit more every now and again. So,
And just with the those aging fridges, I guess they're called. Has it always been here?
No, so we installed it, I believe, towards the end of COVID. We had them built. They're magnificent fridges, beautiful, best in class. And we source all of our beef from O'Connor in Gippsland, and that all goes in there for sort of a minimum of 30 odd days. And we source ducks from Aylesbury, which we also dry age in there, which is a recent addition to the project. But it wasn't always there. We used to get fantastic quality meat from O'Connor and from JBS under the brand of Little Joe, which we still do. But the dry aging program has really been our it was a bit of a pipe dream, I suppose, when we first started. Getting that to where it is now is.
Was that new for you as well, or did you had experience with that?
Well, I had experience with it when I was working at Rockpool, because they've got a huge dry aging program. I didn't actually spend a hell of a lot of time working on the meat side of things there, but we did a lot of unloading. They had a dedicated butcher, so the chefs would never really get an opportunity to learn that side of it. Same with the seafood, which is a bit of a shame, but it was the best produce you could get at the time. We used to source it all from Cape Grim, and Yeah.
So when you say a dry aging program, I guess you do have to keep an eye on the
definitely.
meat. And does that like in an actual, is it a book or is it a computer program?
So basically what we do is we receive the beef from O'Connor, and we like it to be sort of slaughtered within 3 days of receiving it, 3 or 4 days, depending on, what the conditions are. And we'll tag all of that meat as it comes in, mark it by slaughter date when it went into the cabinet, what the cut is, and then we sort of just keep an eye on it as it ages, because we're going to be losing moisture from it. It's going to be, drying out and doing what it does, becoming more tender, more flavourful. And we keep a record of it once we've processed it, just so that we can, accurately see what the yield's like. Because otherwise you'll go in there and you'll be picking up bits of old beef every other day of the week, and it's not very fun.
No, yeah, right. And how often do you change the menu?
We try to go sort of quarterly. We make small incremental changes depending on, guest preferences and what's selling, what's not selling, whether we need to make some changes or whether produce becomes unavailable or if something better comes on the market. But quarterly is a rule of thumb. And we don't do, it's an extensive menu. There's 55 items on it. So think about changing 55 items is a lot of creative energy.
Yeah.
So we don't do that all the time.
No. And there's obviously favourites, because
Definitely,
you're a place where you've got your regulars and so on. And where do you get that inspiration? Do you see the cookbooks or do you look online?
Look, I have a whole host of cookbooks that I look at to try and derive inspiration from. I try and eat out regularly. That helps as well. See what everybody else is doing. I love Gourmet Traveller. It's a little bit of a dirty secret of mine. I like going on there and see, because they've got a lot of sort of chef recipes as well, and they do reviews of restaurants and things. So I find that as a good resource. And then just sort of trying to work with the suppliers to see what they've got, what's going to be good, what's coming in, what's going out, and then we go from there really.
I imagine it's quite a challenge these days with the cost of everything, so food costings, to still have that, that you're using really quality products and they have to look really good on the plate and have
all the bells and whistles.
Exactly, but then you're also up against those margins. How do you balance that?
Look, we try to price our menu items fairly. We purchase the best, and we like to think that our guests expect the best from us. And as a result, the best costs money.
Yeah.
And if you're, discounting things, or you're kind of saying to them, look, this isn't really worth this, and today I'm going to give it to you for a bit less because of whatever reason. So for us, we just try and price things fairly, and we also like to think that one of the most important things is making sure that our suppliers are in business tomorrow and next year. So we're never going to try and screw them on price or anything like that. It's very important, because we're all here to work together and to be in this for as long as possible.
And do you have a favourite dish on this menu?
I love the dry-aged duck at the moment, which we're doing with a little sweet potato, Swede parve, and a little ball of confit duck leg. Beautiful sauce with some candied orange and dried red shiso called yukari. It's delicious.
Nice.
And when the skin, we brine the ducks for 2 days, and then we blanch them and then coat them in a maltose sort of coating, similar to Peking duck but without all the blowing. And it's just magnificent. So good.
Delicious.
Yeah.
So I guess with all that in mind and your experience and so on and overseas, what would your advice be to a young person who was starting out as a chef?
Pedigree is probably one of the most important things that you can invest in. Invest in yourself by trying to work at the best place possible and giving it a red hot go, because if you give up from the start, or if you sort of like settle from the start, you're doing yourself a disservice. And invest in your equipment and some good shoes. Good shoes, good knives, work hard at the best places that you can possibly. That's what I say.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Conversation with a Chef with Sam Hopkinson at Botanical Hotel. If you liked what you heard, you can check out all the goodness on Instagram at Botanical Hotel. That's BOTANICAL Hotel. If you'd like to hear more stories from other chefs, I'm on Instagram at Conversation with a Chef. And if you follow me on Instagram, then you can tell when a new story comes up. You can read the chat and become a subscriber at www.conversationwithachef.com. The good thing about being a subscriber is that I know you're there and you also get to hear it when new chats go up. I'd absolutely love it if you told a friend about my chats, and of course you can follow me on Apple, Spotify, Audible and Amazon podcasts. Once again, thanks so much for listening. Have a great day and bon appetit.